Since I've been making One Piece content on YouTube, Blackbeard arguments have always been everywhere. From the times where they were arguing, is Blackbeard going to be a final villain, especially after Marineford, when Whitebeard, his former captain, the words he said about how there's going to be a big war after the One Piece is found. And many people believe that shouldn't the final villain be before the One Piece is found? And that Blackbeard and Luffy should fight before the One Piece is found, the treasure. So a lot of people thought that if there's going to be a big war after, that would axe out Blackbeard, especially with the introduction of the man who sits, or the woman who sits, who we do not know. I think it's a man, but sits on the empty throne in Imu from the Norona family of the Celestial Dragons, one of the founding of course, the world government. We also are getting the Gorosei going from silhouettes when we saw them at first transform when Sabo was there, to now Ichiro is actually showing us full designs of the Gorosei in front of Monkey D. Luffy in his Gear 5th form, and Nika and Joy Boy and all that. And it makes me think of even Von Auger saying that the Blackbeard pirates, when Saturn asks, what are you guys after? He says, the world. Now, king of the world, Blackbeard, it definitely helps his final villain case a bit better. But I do want to say this, we should have knew when Imu had those 4 pictures, Vivi, of course, with ties to Lily and back in the Void Century, Shirahoshi with ties to the ancient weapon Poseidon, of course Shirahoshi being the ancient weapon Poseidon, Luffy being Joy Boy and Nika and all that, and the Sun God Nika and everything that's going on there. And of course Blackbeard having this special lineage that was recently mentioned, that even Saturn knew about, with shocked Katarina and Devon. And I definitely want to say that was definitely something. But there's another argument also there. Was Teach even Yonko level as soon as post Handskip started? Yeah, that was a big argument, guys. If you guys don't remember, I've been in the community for a very long time. After seeing Whitebeard's double be taken by Teach, and then beating Whitebeard's vice captain in Marco and the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirates in the Payback War during the time skip, many thought there was a huge gap still in between Kaido, Big Mom, and Shanks and Blackbeard. But recently, with his bounty shooting up from 2 billion to now it's 4 billion, well, not 4 billion, but nearly 4 billion. It's like now Blackbeard has the second highest current active bounty under, of course, Shanks. And of course, you have to look at it when it comes to Blackbeard doing relatively well against Boa Hancock, a very powerful fighter, and then Rayleigh's words of how Blackbeard would probably win in a battle, and Rayleigh was going to toe-to-toe with Kizaru pre-time skip. And of course, we also have to understand that if Rayleigh's saying Teach can beat him, and Rayleigh's pulling out Kankosaki coding in that scene, you definitely got to respect Blackbeard's power. And then of course, the fact that Blackbeard recently defeated Law, who just came off of the Big Mom win. Yes, the help of Kid, but still, Law got incredibly powerful with 3 billion berry bounty, and is definitely one of the top pirates in the One Piece world. With half of course, Blackbeard's crew, he was able to defeat Law's entire crew. So definitely want to say that argument of Blackbeard not being an actual Yonko level character weakened heavily after Wano was finished. But you guys all see the title. The one argument that's spilling into the manga, of course, it's a major argument, is when it comes to Blackbeard having either multi-personalities, or of course Blackbeard being a mythical Zoan Cerberus, remember that, guys? Or even of course the 3 stomach theory, when it comes to Blackbeard having 3 stomachs, and that's how he was able to eat multiple adult fruits. Of course, you have to understand there's also the 3 heart theory that there's going on. And of course, I all know with the recent developments on Egghead Island, it's more and more looking like Teach claims the final villain status is based off this argument on why is Teach different. Yes, when I say different, I'm not talking about how hype he is. He truly is a different specimen. And everybody knows that iconic scene where Blackbeard says, let them laugh, and a man's dream never dies. But also this scene is where Luffy says, when Nami says, hey, why don't we ask for some help and everything? And Luffy says, it's not just one person. And then Zoro says, it's actually more than one. And Nami's just there tweaking like, what is going on? So like, what do I not know? And you have to understand, don't get me wrong, like I have respect for Van Auger, Jesus Burgers, and Doc Q, but I don't think Zoro and Luffy are talking about them, honestly, because we've seen Zoro and Luffy actually witness all 3 of them, I believe. Well, I think Van Auger witnessed Zoro and Luffy, but we know the others, Doc Q, interaction with Luffy, and of course Jesus Burgers going crazy of being a champion, and them hearing that during the Jaya arc. It just seems like, of course, that they're not the most covert type, especially when it comes to how we saw they're interacting. So this definitely was a statement from Luffy and Zoro about Blackbeard himself. And if you remember, but right before Jaya, we seen Zoro actually use Haki, of course, to dodge all the rocks that were falling, and then find his sword, of course, that was under one of those rocks. And he says he had that feeling before. Now Zoro's not consciously using Haki, but subconsciously he's using Haki. And I want to say that because this could help you understand how Zoro was able to actually notice Blackbeard was different and there was more than one. And you also have to understand, of course, during Whole Cake Island really said it best, yo, the real advancement in Haki comes from extreme battle. So this explains Zoro subconsciously using Haki during the Das Bones fight, during the Mr. One fight, because Zoro took so much damage from Mr. One because he was trying to cut steel, but Mr. One is just throwing out attacks. So there you have it. And then, of course, Impel Down, when Luffy interacts with Blackbeard again, he says a famous line, "Your Haki has gotten stronger." And the reason why this is famous is because we all know that before Impel Down, Haki was becoming a thing on Amazon Lily. And then, of course, we've seen hints of it during Sabaody with Rayleigh and, of course, Luffy and whatnot. But all I'm trying to say is this, guys. Blackbeard saying your Haki has gotten stronger means that Luffy and Zoro during Jaya most likely was using Haki subconsciously, and Blackbeard, who consciously can use Haki, who's been in the New World for so long, who should have been a divisional commander, definitely knew about this. And during Impel Down, Jinbei, even a very prominent fighter who was a part of the Whitebeard Pirates, like, yeah, not official crew member, but really was supporting the Whitebeard Pirates because they supported Jinbei in Fishman Island, called Blackbeard very mysterious. The fact that Jinbei said this, because Blackbeard doesn't seem that mysterious when he's laughing, he's joking, he's trolling, but the fact that Jinbei said this, and we've seen the discussions recently when it comes to Ace and Jinbei and Marco and Blackbeard is making jokes there, definitely says that Jinbei noticed something off about Blackbeard. And then, of course, we have to understand, when Shanks mentioned Blackbeard, of course, when he was on the Yonko Whitebeard ship, he says that Blackbeard scarred him, but it wasn't a sneak attack. He was on guard. And, of course, says that Blackbeard was hiding under Whitebeard's shadow because Whitebeard was the world's strongest man, stood in front of Roger's throne for 2 decades. So definitely want to say this. And even Shanks said he will eventually take over your spot. And now we're in the current story. Blackbeard literally is taking over Whitebeard's spot. From the Marineford War till now, he's just been taking over Whitebeard's territories, using Whitebeard's Delphin ability, and he's just taking over. Like, even when he was posted up, not outside of Wano, but one of the islands after Wano, really showed how Blackbeard is now making some big moves. And Shanks even told Whitebeard to leave Teach alone, and Whitebeard says, shut the hell up. He killed the Nakama. No humanity or justice. Pretty much, Whitebeard says that, like, you have to understand this. Whitebeard craves authenticity. Like, he craves it. So when Whitebeard's seen the high morals, when he sees high morals, he enjoys it. And Blackbeard is the least authentic and has no morals. So there was obviously always something off when it comes to the relationship of course, Blackbeard and Whitebeard. Like, I remember that scene of Blackbeard begging Whitebeard to let him join the crew as an orphan. And I'm just watching that scene thinking, wow, Whitebeard, if you just said no, the trajectory of everything could have changed drastically. Ace would have been still alive, and Ace probably would have been in the New World just with Luffy right now, involved in this final saga. Crazy. And during the Blackbeard Ace fight, we actually found out that Blackbeard's been looking for the Yami Yami no Mi before even joining the Whitebeard crew pirates. And that's the only reason why he joined Whitebeard. So Blackbeard at a young age was very intelligent and memorized all the fruits and shapes, and even said that he would give up if he didn't find it. Like, Blackbeard was content on giving up if he couldn't find the Yami Yami no Mi. And pretty much the bad thing he said is my Nakama found it in Thatch. And it just shows you how messed up Blackbeard is, because he actually looked at Thatch as a friend, but still snaked him, showing how fake he is. Like I said, Blackbeard is not authentic, guys. You can see it throughout the story, yo. Like, I thought Blackbeard was a good character just off of Jai's first introduction, and he became one of the greatest villains. That just shows you how fake he is. Two-faced. Maybe multi-personality is a thing for Blackbeard. And you have to understand, Ace without a Delphi was pretty strong. Like, this is even said by Von Unger after the Blackbeard and Ace fight is getting heated. He's like, the fact that Ace is surviving this long shows you how powerful he is without his Delphi ability. And of course, Luffy even said this back in the days too, like Ace was always powerful even before. He left without a Delphi ability. He got it during his first adventures. And then you have to look at Blackbeard. The fact that he's tanking these Mary no Mi attacks while almost breaking Ace's neck shows how strong that he is. And Teach's base form, well, you have to understand, well, for 2 decades, Teach was a non-Delphi user, or that's what we think. And he pretty much was not fighting with the Delphi to show the Whitebeard pirates. So I definitely want to say that there's something special about Blackbeard from early on. He could have been division commander without a Delphi. You have to understand, during Marineford War, we've seen Blackbeard do the unthinkable. He was the only man to have 2 Delphs in the history of One Piece. And of course, it being Whitebeards of all people makes it even crazier. The strongest Paramecia, Whitebeard to showcase a drastic damage output in Marineford, and Blackbeard just takes it right after is insane. And after the show of Blackbeard's 2 Delphs, Marco said, all the Whitebeard pirates know that Teach's structure of his body is different than any normal human. So Whitebeard, and Marco kind of gave that first hint. And we remember, you have to understand, Marco and Jozu grew up with Blackbeard. They're around the same age as Blackbeard, joined the crew around the same time, and were there in the Roger Pirates for fighting the Whitebeard Pirates. Like, you have to understand, even that iconic moment where Whitebeard takes Fishman Island, when they're older, you see Marco, Jozu, and Blackbeard, all 3 of them. So just thought I'd let you guys know that Marco saying this is legit. And then you have to understand this. We always remember that iconic moment where Shanks meets up with the Gorosei. And he says, I want to talk about a certain pirate. And of course, the Gorosei recently, when it comes to the designs being shown in Naked Island, this is moment of Shanks is even more crazier. But you have to understand this. That certain pirate, we all thought could it be Roxy Zebek, could it be someone else? Shanks did the exact same thing pre-timeskip. Came to Whitebeard to talk about a certain pirate. Shanks is now even looking for him. So yeah, it's obviously he's talking about Blackbeard. And during, of course, Wano, we got like a quick glimpse of Blackbeard just narrating all the craziness that's going on in the One Piece world. And pretty much talks about how the battle has already begun over the throne. And I don't think he's talking about the Pirate King throne. I think he's talking about the World Throne, guys. Yes, you heard me here right now. Blackbeard during Wano in the beginning, chapter 925. I think he's actually talking about the World Throne. And of course, one of the most major reasons why this theory is even crazier is during the Odin flashback when Blackbeard, it's said by Buggy that Blackbeard didn't even sleep during the ceasefire for days and has never slept in his life, which made me think of him saying a man's dream never dies. Well, how do you know that when you never dream unless you're daydreaming? Like, you have never experienced a dream as sleeping unless, like I said, you're still trying to complete a dream after death. Don't forget, Blackbeard is a historian. So let me explain more what I mean when I say after death. Well, first things first, you have to understand, Blackbeard was eyeing Boa Hancock's power. It's kind of unusual because Boa Hancock's power is based off beauty and all that. And the fact that Blackbeard wanted that power to turn everyone to stone was definitely interesting because we never really saw huge interactions of Blackbeard and Boa Hancock, even during Marineford War. So I always found that interesting myself. But we didn't know that they had that meeting during the Warlord meeting, and they were both, I think they were both there. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but definitely was interesting. And then I have to talk about, of course, right after Wano, Blackbeard was waiting on Luffy, Kid, and Law. One of these 3 had Roan opponent gifts, and he was waiting for one of these 3. It makes sense why Shanks was actually waiting outside of Wano, because he thought Blackbeard was going to be there. And of course, Blackbeard ran into Law. And you have to understand, 1 in 3 chance, Blackbeard having 3 skulls on his Jolly Roger. Obviously, 3 is a significant number. And the fact that we've only seen 2 Delphos from Blackbeard, he's obviously going to get a 3rd one for this 3 number. And then I have to talk about Shanks. Shanks has been after Blackbeard for so long. Like, he's been doing this so many times. And the ties to God Valley and Roxy Zebek and Figureland Garling and all that. And now he's going after Blackbeard. We should be seen before he actually fought Kid. He said he wanted information on Blackbeard. So it's going to be crazy. I think this is where Blackbeard is finally going to get revealed during the Shanks battle. And I always love that moment of Aokiji showing how he joined Blackbeard Pirates and seeing that Blackbeard actually motivated him in joining and talking about the alignment of interest and how pirates work and saying we don't have to be the best of friends. This could be because Teach is working with someone in that exact manner. The way that Aokiji and Blackbeard are now working together, Teach could be doing the same thing with someone that we haven't seen. And you guys all know who I'm referring to. And then I have to talk about, of course, when Blackbeard finally defeated Law, he jokes about selling Law's Delphi ability or actually using it and getting eternal life. The fact that Blackbeard is joking about this is really interesting because Doflamingo was craving eternal life, immortality, of course. So Blackbeard, of course, doesn't sleep. He pretty much is living a double the life because he never sleeps. And maybe he's excited for the one day he can finally rest for good. That's like they always say, sleep and death are cousins. And like I mentioned early on, Saturn told Catherine Devon that, of course, like craziness, that did not expect the savage of level 6 to, of course, submit to another leash. And she replies, Teach is special. Just showing that even Kanari Devon knows that Blackbeard is not a normal human being. And of course, this is where his bloodline, of course, is mentioned, because Saturn says it, like his bloodline is also special, which shocks Kanari Devon, because how does the Gorsei know? Did Shanks tell them, or did they know from time? And Saturn is aware, of course. Saturn is part of the Void Sentry. Like, we all know that Saturn and the Gorsei are from the Void Sentry, knowing connections with Imu, knowing that Imu is still being alive. Ivanka talked about that. Like, it's not confirmed, but it's pretty much, you can assume. And I do want to say this, that when it comes to Roxy Zebek, and let's be honest here, related to God Valley, remember Teach's ship name is the Saber of Zebek. And of course, Van Arger saying the world in reply to Saturn asking their strange business and their goal. And of course, that's another big hint, since Zebek aimed to be the king of the world. All I'm saying, guys, is Oda is throwing the hints out big in Egghead Island. So you're probably thinking, why bring all this evidence, LegendMac? Why bring all this evidence and not say a final statement on what you believe? Well, I'll tell you guys right now, this is what I believe. I believe Blackbeard knows Imu. I don't think they met, but I think he knows of Imu, like Sabo found out about Imu through the war, pretty much through the throne room. I feel like it's different. I think Blackbeard knows because Blackbeard's connection to history and the major connection to Void Centuries. And of course, Blackbeard being a D, Blackbeard obviously would research on the D, that forbidden research. Now, I do want to say this. His race is probably also related to the D. And of course, you have to understand why his goals align with Roxy Zebek, the king of the world, and that chase, and the fact that the Gorsei know who we believe are immortal. First of all, you know the Gorsei are immortal. And Imu having Blackbeard's poster alongside Vivi AD, Luffy AD, and Shirahoshi an ancient weapon, it all points to Blackbeard having ties to the Void Century deeper than we even know. Like, kind of like how we got revealed that Kuma and the Buccaneer and that special lineage. I think Blackbeard has a similar lineage, but the only difference is Blackbeard being a D makes it even more crazier. Just like Jaguar saw a giant D, I think Blackbeard is going to be another special race D. Look at how Blackbeard's reaction when the Seraphims, with of course the brown skin and the white hair and the wings. Definitely Blackbeard is a historian, but he himself is an historic race, a historic character. And I can't wait till when Oda actually reveals it, guys. So this is my video on Blackbeard, because I think it's kind of happened soon, guys. So be prepared.